Inspiration, I've heard, comes from everywhere, from the books we read, the movies we watch, our own lives. The people we know, the places we've seen, and the things we learn all serve the little box of ideas we have in our heads. As much as I can get into that another time, for now I'd like to talk about the stories that have inspired me, or at least the stories I draw inspiration from for my own. The first story I'd like to mention is The Glass Lake by Merv Binchy. I read this book back when I was in high school, which was a long time ago, and honestly, I don't remember a thing besides the story of following a girl trying to traverse through life without her mother. Since I can't point to exactly what inspired me besides the premise, or the basic premise, I'll make this a good segue to the next book. Atonement by Ian McEwan is a marvel at saying things without saying things. Its subtle displays of love between Cecilia and Robbie are what drive their love story. That's what kept me reading in any case. I love the understated way Ian McEwan writes Cecilia and Robbie and how they could convey their feelings in the everyday small talk or in an argument. And the rejection letter Brian receives from the publishers is actually such a wonderful description of what stories should have. Yes, beautiful lyrical imagery makes reading the story such an enjoyable ride, but there needs to be a story, a happening, consequences, and agency. There needs to be movement. Thereon too we move to White Oleander by Janet Fitch. What I loved from reading this book was its use of metaphors and analogies. It's such a cheeky way of saying something without saying something. Can you tell I like that expression? The contrast of things about a character that holds so much meaning. One of my favorites from the book being on the first page. It reads, "Her beauty was like the edge of a very sharp knife." And most importantly, my inspiration comes from the tumultuous, complicated, and layered relationship Astrid, the main character, has with her mother. I suppose you're picking up a theme by now. In the case of Susanna Tamaro's Follow Your Heart, it follows two generations of precarious relationships between mothers and daughters. The inspiration from this story was that it was told through the mother's point of view, more specifically the grandmother who takes on the mother role. The story gives a sympathetic understanding of what mothers go through and how often their pain can be overlooked because of their wanting need to put others above themselves. It also serves as a beacon of life lessons, told with a tenderness only a grandmother could articulate. The story is inspiring, not only to a reader, but also to her granddaughter, as the story is told in the form of letters she leaves to her. And with letter writing in mind, let's move on to the main and final catalyst of my need to write a story. Oh, where do I even begin? I could easily sit here and rattle off about how amazing this book is, how charming and funny the characters are, how I wish I knew them and we were all friends and we all lived happily together on the island of Guernsey. But alas, for another time. In short, The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Mary Ann Schaefer and Annie Barrows is one of my favorite books of all time, and it never fails in showing me the magic of good storytelling. The book is told through a sequence of letters Juliet Ashton, the main protagonist, has with a publisher and a friend. But the real story begins after she receives a random letter from a man living on the island of Guernsey, belonging to a particularly curiously named literary society. Soon after, she's introduced to the other members of the society through letter exchange, and her life is changed forever. So was it chance, or was it fate? The authors of this book had the uncanny ability of making you fall in love with each character. Except you, Adelaine Addison. And how could I not want the characters in my story and the story as a whole to have the same effect? I didn't want to come on here and give you a brief overview of the plots of the stories and blah blah blah. I wanted to show you what I was able to take away from them. And now that you've seen most of the sources of my inspiration, maybe you'd be able to come up with some idea of what my story is about. But don't worry, if you can't guess, I'll talk about it soon. I first need to get some more writing in. I'll have an update in word count in the next video. In the meantime, feel free to like or dislike this video, as I have no preference for that. You do whatever you want, you are entitled to your own opinion. I hope you're keeping safe and healthy, and I'll see you soon.